as much as I possibly can do, absolutely. For the accountant, I did all my own fight scenes, and I think that's definitely been, one of the bigger roles I've had, and so being able to do all my own stunts for that film was very important to me.
Melting Pot, a global podcast series hosted by Pyle, connects guests who have inspiring stories and reaches out to a multicultural audience over 52 countries. Guests are diverse, such as celebrities, entrepreneurs, travelers, and many more who've had a turning point in their lives and moved over to a holistic lifestyle. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google Podcasts, social media.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another very special Melting Pot show episode. Today, I am in conversation with this very multi-talented, I think a mega talent. He's an American actor, director, writer, martial artist, and his name is Seth Lee. Thank you so much for joining me today, Seth.
Hello, what's up? I'm so happy to be here. Yeah.
Super. So I understand from before we started recording that you are in beautiful Paris.
Yeah.
And so how's that going for you?
It's great. Staying busy, working with Celine. I'm not sure how much I can expose just exactly what I'm working with them on, but it's a lot of good stuff. I had just done a campaign for their fall winter show of 2022, and so now we're working on stuff for 2023 spring summer and all that good stuff. So I'm excited for everyone to be able to check all that out.
Fabulous. Okay, so let's now do a deep dive into you. At the age of 7, you decide to become an actor. So how did this transition from Austin to LA actually happen?
So that was all through the support of my dad and my 2 sisters, especially my dad, because he was willing to sell his house in Texas and move all the way out to LA just to help, inspire me and get me to where I need to go for something that I was always dreaming about. So luckily I had a great support system, primarily from him. And that gave me sort of the launch pad that I needed to start my career. And he's still around and still kicking it with me and still on this journey with me. Same with my 2 sisters. And so that kind of gets all credited towards them. And so I appreciate them for doing that if they are listening to this.
Excellent. So what came first? Was it acting or was it your martial arts?
It actually was both at the exact same time. They kind of both always kind of coexisted, like hand in hand, like one was always helping the other. And it started through my dad's friend, Ernie Reyes Jr., who, for those who don't know, was in the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle films, and Red Sonja and all this other good stuff, where he was just kind of like cool, like martial artist, actor, stunt guy, who just had this like charisma that was so charming. And I think even at a young age, I saw that. And so I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be. And he was doing essentially what was like Zoom back in 2008 or something like that. And he was working with my dad on a project, and he taught me how to do a jab cross, just a little punch combination, over the phone. And so that kind of like then like ignited sort of the flame that I knew was sort of already there, to get into acting, to get into martial arts. And yeah.
Okay, so are you like a black belt, and is there something beyond the black belt as well, or?
Yeah, so it kind of depends what, like, where you're training at, what style, most importantly, sort of where, because different studies are different instructors, and everyone else is going to sort of do a little bit of different system. And I do have black belts. I have a few in a few different styles. I got my first one in Taekwondo, and that's sort of where like everything started for me. And I have one as well, and there's something called CMX, which is cinematic, like martial art kicking sort of stuff. And yeah, and I've trained in like other things like kung fu, eskrima sticks, and other good stuff like that. But yeah, there are definitely different levels. You could get like a 2nd degree black belt, 3rd degree black belt, so on and so forth. And yeah, it's a crazy world in the martial arts community. It's one that's really fun and exciting. And, because there's like a melting pot of different styles and instructors and stuff like that, it's just like this like beautiful community where like there's something different about everyone's performance in it.
So there's a constant learning. It's not like you've gotten to a
Yeah,
certain level and then you stop. Okay. So do you do all your stunts by yourself in the films, or
yeah,
not?
yeah.
Okay.
So as much as I possibly can do, absolutely. For The Accountant, I did all my own fight scenes. And I think that's definitely been, one of the bigger roles that I've had. And so being able to do all my own stunts for that film was very important to me. And yeah, it all started with Ernie Reyes Jr., so I wouldn't have been able to do all that if it wasn't for him. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about your method of cinema. So
Mhm.
how much time do you spend when you're preparing for a film? What are some of the initial steps that you take? I mean, is it research? How do you approach your character? At such a young age,
Mhm.
or how have you, over the short span of time that you've been in acting, how have you actually created this method for yourself?
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. So, as I was saying, I have been doing this for so long and since I was so little, and so even if I was booking roles, I had to
But sorry,
understand that,
so long. You're 19 and you started at the
like,
age of
yeah,
7. So it's not
yeah,
really that long, right?
yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, but being so young and doing it,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess it's kind
yeah.
of like I couldn't be naive and think like my way was the only way. So I had to learn how to adjust and craft and find different methods that work for different things. And I feel like every actor, no matter their age, sort of goes through the same process where at some point, if they hit a wall and, their not career, but just in their method,
Yeah.
then, they know to shake things up a little bit. But for me, I mean, yeah, I definitely do tons of research, especially when dealing with something like The Accountant, where I portray someone who's on the spectrum, and wanting to be honest with that and do, you know, everything I can to make it as honest as possible. Uh, I was going to schools that specialize with children on the spectrum. And I would just visit and hang out with the kids. And, I'm not bringing like a notebook and pen and paper, but just getting to really
Yeah.
know some of these kids was inspiring enough to, uh, get ideas going and understand like the best way to go about this role. And so I think there's important as an actor, it's our responsibility to be honest uh, and just make sure we're we're reflecting and in roles like that we're reflecting a community of people. Um, And it's just important to be truthful and honest, and not hide behind a wall of like ego or something like that that gets in the way of a performance that otherwise shouldn't be about you. It's about, the truth. It's not
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
so I think, it with that said, um, outside of stuff like The Accountant, yeah, I mean, for like comedies and stuff, keep it light, keep it fun. You know what I mean? Bring something fun to the table each time you're going into a scene. But yeah, yeah, I saw that was quite a lengthy answer, but it's a great question.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a great answer as well. So, can I then say that The Accountant was your most challenging role, or have you played any other characters that you find have been more or you found to be more challenging?
I will say, yeah, I will say The Accountant was probably the most challenging. But second billing, close second. Filming in Montana, just at all. And November is freezing, and
Ooh.
it was dry and cold. And being from Texas and living in LA, I was like shaking the entire time.
Yeah.
But outside of that, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you mentioned comedy. So have you done films like, where the whole premise is comedy?
Yeah. So I mean, I just did something for Disney Big Shot, and then when I was younger, I did something for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But in terms of auditions, I'm getting a lot more, not a lot more, but I am getting comedies, and usually when I'm filming comedies and stuff like that, uh, it's just like, it's fun to just, throw things at the canvas and see what sticks. And, you know, that can be said for any genre. It doesn't hold any like boundaries, but especially with comedy, you can really see that.
Yeah, yeah, I know that's true. Yeah. Direction. How
Mhm.
did that happen? I know that you've directed a film called Depression and Insanity, and it's a short film. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
how did you get into that? I mean, what kind of encouraged you or inspired you to start writing and directing as well?
For directing, that 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 I think, as an actor, being on set and being there in the environment, I was always like, wow, like being behind the camera is quite interesting, quite fascinating. Um, and so when I was on The Accountant, I think those kind of like ideas sort of somehow, I guess, got passed along to Gavin O'Connor. And Gavin O'Connor decided to bring me sort of backstage for post production every once in a while. I would invite me over to Warner Brothers, and I would sit there and watch the magic in the in post, and just see his process and see how what that room looks like, and how the ebb and flow of everything just like sort of goes. And being in that environment was like the again jumping pad sort of to get, or launching pad into getting me into like, okay, let's do this. So then I started looking into this program called Ghetto Film School, and it was quite a sight to see when I realized that Gavin O'Connor was on the board, or at least played a role in Ghetto Film School. Um, and I brought that to him, and I was like, hey, um, what can you explain more about like Ghetto Film School to me? And then he was like, yeah, like I can get you in for like an interview. We can like do all this stuff. So I applied, got my interview, and the next thing I know, I'm accepted, and I'm doing this 3-year program, essentially, uh, where do different courses, study different things in film, and it includes going to NYU, studying at NYU, learning like East Coast style filmmaking, Montclair State University, and doing ultimately a thesis film and a plethora of short films and different guest speakers. And it's great because by the time you're an alumni and you graduated, they put you into the atmosphere of internships and all the job opportunities. And so they really like get your career started, especially going there. And I've actually done some great things, since graduating. I was class of 2019. And since then,
So
I've
sorry,
gone to,
how old were you when you actually got into this film school?
so when I got in, I was 13. And then when I started, I was 14,
14.
which is kind of like
Yeah.
the minimum age is 14. So I kind of was like, I'm 13 now, but I'll be 14. So like, what's the big deal? And so I was always the youngest in my class, which is cool, but it, if everyone's so much older, it like took some time to really gel into the system over there, into my different classmates and just like find my way into that ecosystem, I guess. And so, yeah, since then I've premiered a short film at the Huntington Library in Pasadena, which I don't know when this will be posted or whatever, but it could possibly still be there if you're in California, if you're in Pasadena and want to go check it out. And I've worked on Ballers, and I'm currently working at Agbo, the Russo Brothers company. And a lot of that was just through GFS, and their connections and putting you into their alumni community.
Excellent. So you've clearly taken a shine to direction as well.
Yes.
Is it still very early for you to actually evaluate and say, hey, maybe I prefer to be behind the camera rather than in front of it? Has that thought ever occurred to you or not really?
No, I mean, I think it's, there's a ton of actors who are directing as well. And it's like when you're in the same industry, like you can sort of do both, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's sort of the plan. I always say, because people love asking me this, and I'm just like, until I'm in a position where I have to make a choice, if I'm ever in that position, then sure, I'll think about it, and it'll give me many restless nights. But for now, I have the time and I can make do with what I have to be both an actor, a director, writer, model, all this other stuff, and sort of all make it work out. And so, I'm having fun doing that.
Yeah. And I think, when you are in that space, as you rightly said, there's no, you don't have to, you're not compelled to make a shift from in
Right.
front of the camera to behind the camera, because I think, like you rightly said, there's opportunity for both,
Right.
and if you have the experience in both, then why not? I think
Yeah.
it's a very, very good space to be in, because it gives you that flexibility as well, right?
Absolutely.
So tell me about television. Have you had any projects for television? Has there been an opportunity for that? Because that's not something that I was able to find when I was researching you and, the kind of stuff that you have been involved in. So have you been involved in any television projects?
So yeah, for a lot of the bigger stuff has come from film and stuff like that. But in television, I've done an episode for It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Big Shot, 1883, which just came out. So I've definitely gotten my hand a little bit in there, and obviously I was working on Ballers for HBO as in the camera department, and yeah, honestly, these days, television, film, the line is kind of like blurred between the two,
Yeah.
especially with like certain shows being like an hour long, sometimes like an hour and a half for a premiere, where it's like, honestly, you're just making like 6 really like, it's just like movies and just
Yeah.
putting them in a season and saying, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
And the experience, unless you're doing a multicam, if you're doing single camera stuff, or even if it's 2 cameras, like you're kind of just, you're in that same system as making a film. So not a whole lot changes between the two nowadays. But yeah, I've definitely, and I would love to do more television, rise the opportunity. But yeah.
Okay, interesting. So, what is or what would be your dream project in terms
Ooh,
of in terms of the genre of film, in terms of who would be like co-stars that you'd absolutely love to be working
okay.
alongside with?
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see. Let's do some manifestation up in here. I will genre. I have not done a horror film or show, so
Okay.
that would be really fun, especially because I'm a sucker for horror. It's like one of my favorite genres. Um, let's see, actors. Oof, I just watched Severance, so I love John Turturro, obviously for Big Lebowski and
Yeah.
Severance and all of his other stuff. That would be cool. Robert Pattinson would be sick. I think, oh my god, as an actor, like Robert Pattinson is like the prototype for like who I would like want to be, like, you know what I mean? In terms of just the way he's laid out his career. I know that's a little sidetracked. We'll get back on track, but it's just cool how he was like, he did Twilight, did that, and then he went off and did all these independent films, which, you know, he, I maybe had doubters of his acting abilities, and he sort of proved them all wrong with like Lighthouse, with Good Time, and all this stuff. And then now he's back doing Batman, and like, I don't know, he just had like such a great career. Anyways, back on track. Robert Pattinson. Let's see. Um, hmm. Let's see. I would love to. Um,
Gosh, that was
uh,
not a trick question.
oh my God! It's like there's so many people.
Yeah.
Elle Fanning, Dakota Fanning. Um, oh my God. Yeah, there's like 20,000 people I can name off on a list. So I'm gonna spare everyone the time from doing that. But yeah, a lot of people I would love to get the chance to work with.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move away from, before I wrap up, we move away from cinema, anything to do with
Mhm.
cinema. What is some of the fun stuff that you actually do when you're not working? And
Nice.
I wonder when that is, because you seem to be you seem to be full on. But yeah, when you're not, when you get that little window, what is some of the fun stuff that you like to do?
Yes, that's a great question. Yeah, so I love to play guitar. I've been playing guitar for like, oh God, 6, 7 years now.
Wow.
And which is great because it's sort of like, uh, it's a great thing to be able to do in my downtime, because I can, take a guitar with me if I'm traveling, and like, play a song for like an hour and just like learn, practice, whatever. And it doesn't take away too much from all my other responsibilities. Um, and I've actually played a few shows with my roommate, Trevor Douglas. I was able to back him up and play guitar for him at a few of his shows. And so like that would be like so cool as well to do like a little side thing, to play more shows if I ever get the chance to. Outside of that, I also love to read.
Okay.
Reading's great, especially like with all this modeling stuff. As some of the other models are doing their thing, I can just pop out a book and just like sit there, and like next thing I know, they're calling me in. I'm like, oh wow, all right, let's do it. But yeah, I love a good book. I love a good book.
Okay. And what, obviously you travel a lot for work. So can you, like, a couple of very, very special and exotic destinations that you may have been to, whether it was while you were filming or whether it was a vacation, something that's like stands out for you? And, we all have these ideas that when we travel, we go somewhere and you say, yeah, I'm coming back here for sure, because this has
Right.
been such a different experience. But then, of course, there are 500 other places that you want to go to. So you don't really end up going back to the one that you said, yep, I'm coming back. This is on my list to
Yeah.
come back again to. So just a couple of destinations that really, really were special and stood out for you.
Well, I think off the top of the head, for starters, Paris. Um, I first came out here earlier in the year in January, and it was the first time ever. And I knew I would love Paris, and I was right. And luckily, I've been able to come back a few different times. And so Paris for sure. Let's see. Um, Exotic. I mean, I've been to Mexico. I've been to Vancouver, which is nice. Vancouver's really nice, especially during the fall, which is where I went when I went. It's just like beautiful, like brown leaves, and like, yeah, it's raining, but it's like a nice rain. It's like grab a cup
Yeah.
of coffee kind of rain. And New York, classic. It's not really exotic, but just in terms of destinations, I love New York. Michigan. I filmed two different projects in Michigan now. And every time it's just like, it is absolutely crazy how like beautiful Michigan is. It's wild. So I encourage anyone who may overlook Michigan to go actually check out Michigan and see sort of what beauty lies over there.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't been to Michigan, so I should kind of put that on my
Yes.
long list of places that I need to go
No.
to. So have you been to Asia or not yet?
Oh my God, not yet. Me and my friend Dallas are trying to maybe do something in Asia later this year. That'd be cool.
Yeah, so there's a lot of wonderful places to go to, even in Southeast Asia or Asia in general. So
Ah,
yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Any
I mean, I think
recommendations specifically?
yeah, I mean, Cambodia, Thailand, where Vietnam, Singapore, of course, I would kind of, Singapore is very, it's different. It's not rustic. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's a first world country, and a very small, it's beautiful. So you could kind of have Singapore as your landing point and then just travel to the rest of Asia. There's some incredible, beautiful places to visit. So yeah, I mean, you should, yeah, definitely try and plan that for sometime this year. Now that things are opening up, I don't know if
Yeah.
we can still say it's post-COVID, but things are kind of getting better. So I think, yeah, Asia would be a very interesting continent for you to visit. So if you want any
Awesome.
tips, happy to share with you outside of this podcast, of course.
Lovely. Yeah, absolutely. No, again, I'm ready to do some traveling, and that sounds awesome. So I'll for sure have to hit you up about it.
Absolutely. Super. It's been so nice talking to you, Seth. Thank
Yes.
you for your time. Enjoy the rest of you said another couple of months in Paris, right?
Yes. Yeah. At least in France. Yeah. Yeah.
In France. Okay. Okay. There's a lot to see in France as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So enjoy that, and then good luck with the rest of your career. I'm sure it's going to be a long, exciting one. And now that you've mentioned that you also play the guitar, I won't be surprised if couple of years down the line, what do we know? Seth Lee has his own album. So
maybe. I mean, who knows? But
who
yeah,
knows?
absolutely. I
Yeah,
hope our paths cross again soon.
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Seth. I really enjoyed
Thank
this.
you. Thank you. Me as
Okay.
well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
For more weekly conversations, do listen to Melting Pot on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. Follow us on YouTube and on Instagram at Podcast Melting Pot. So until the next episode, this is Payal signing off.